Let's take a look at what happened after Steve came out of hypnosis.
What kind of relationship did you have with your father?
I don't want to use the word I idolized him, but I definitely looked up to him.
Do you feel you measured up to your father?
I feel like I was always trying to measure up to my dad.
Okay. So when he passed, what happened? How did you feel? How did you respond?
I felt that there was no one out there that expected or had expectations of me. I felt that once my dad died, I felt basically...
You let yourself go?
Yes. And I also
Okay, hold on. Are you telling me that you were living for your father? Yes or no?
Maybe, yes.
But you chose to do that.
Right.
And then when he passes, you realize that you feel completely lost because you don't have anyone's expectation because you were seeking his approval, correct?
Right.
Okay, so let's ask you this question. Why were you seeking his approval? What was he going to give you?
I guess to have some type of validation for my life.
Okay. What you're talking about now, Steve, is much more powerful. You're saying you were seeking his validation to tell you that your life had meaning.
Right.
What you're saying to me is, I spent my entire life trying to get my father's approval so he would validate me, tell me that my life has meaning, and once he was gone, I had nowhere else to get the validation and the approval from. So I gave up and I put this wall around me.
Right.
Does that feel right, what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know, this is a beginning process.
It's a transformation.
Please explain the fact that hypnosis isn't going to be like some people do when they sell hypnosis to stop smoking. You go in for one session and you quit. This is not what we're talking about here, correct?
It is a process, Montel, you're right. It's faster than most traditional therapies and disciplines, but it's a process because you make the choice. How much do you want to allow yourself to go back and face that stuff? And I said to Steve that I honor and respect him because it takes a lot of courage to go back and face that pain and then to release it and to find out what you really believe about yourself and who you're angry at.
I can tell you that the statement I made on the tape was coming to grips with my dad not being there, and you know, and I felt that if he was alive today, that he would be the only person that could say, hey, stop eating, or hey, why'd you get so fat, or why have you allowed yourself to...
You know what's not making sense to me? Your dad was a guy who beat your mother. In your interviews before the show, you said, back-to-back 2 sentences, my dad beat my mother. I idolized him. I put him on a pedestal.
I didn't say that back to back, but I understand what you're saying.
All kinds of sirens are going on in my head because that doesn't make sense. And to me, I imagine a little boy who had 2 parents, and he could either identify with the one that was brutal or identify with the one that was the victim. And you didn't want to identify with the victim. But this is what it left you with.
That's just the beginning.
And I'm willing to make those steps. Okay. I'm willing to come to grips or face those realities, whatever's going to make me a better person.
When you leave here, we'll make sure we find somebody for you to go down this path with. Why don't you let us try to help you out with that?
I love it.
All right, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, remember this guy? Show us pictures. Remember this guy? He has a condition that's called intermittent explosive disorder. What is it? As if we need another name, but I'm telling you, it exists. Take a break. We'll be back right after this.
I always tell people in a relationship like this to leave. I got a little one, I want to work it out. I want to stay with him, I want to see him get help and get better. But then at the same time, I got to protect my kid.
Rushing around.